Good day everyone, I'm Imraina Sahara A. Bakar, reporter of group number 4, and our topic is all about cognitive information processing theory. Piaget's theory argued that we have to conquer the four stages of cognitive development. First, the sensory motor stage, second, the pre-operational stage, third, the concrete operational stage, and fourth is the formal operational stage. Once we have gone through all the stages at what age can vary, we are able to react full human intelligence. 1. The sensory motor stage, age birth to 2. In this sensory motor stage, we develop through experience and movement of our five senses. Our brain wants to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch as much as possible. Makikita natin ito sa mga batang 3 to 5 months old that they are eager to do something and they are so curious. First, we start with simple reflexes, and soon after we develop our first habits. From 4 months old, we become aware of things beyond our own body, and then we get older, we learn to do things intentionally. A key milestone is the development of working memory, or in Piaget term, a realization of object permanent. Before that, our mom can show and then hide a teddy bear and we would think it's gone. After we understand that objects continue to exist even when we can see them, we start to become curious about everything. We want to smell flowers, taste food, listen to sound, and talk to strangers. To explore more, we move, we learn to sit, crawl, stand, walk, and run. This increased physical mobility consequently lead to increased cognitive development, but we remain egocentric, meaning we can perceive the world only from our own point of view. 2. The pre-operational stage, age 2 to 7, our thinking is mainly categorized for symbolic function and intrusive thoughts. We have a lot of fantasies and believe objects are alive as we are not able to apply specific operation. We call this stage pre-operational. We learn to speak and understand that words, images, and gestures are symbols for something else. At the age of 4 years old, most of us became very curious and asked many questions. We want to know everything. We can call it the birth of primitive reasoning. Mr. Piaget called it the intrusive age because while we realize that we have a vast amount of knowledge, we have no idea how we acquired it. Our thinking in this stage is still pretty egocentric. We think others see the world like we do and still don't understand that they see it differently. 3. The concrete operational stage, age 7 to 11, and this stage, we finally discover logic and we develop concrete cognitive operations such as sorting objects in certain order. One example of this is inductive reasoning, which means that if we see someone eating cookies, we can draw a conclusion and then make a generalization, and we now get the concept of conservation. We now understand that if we pour orange juice from a normal glass to a taller one, the amount stays the same. Our brain learns to rearrange our thought to classify and build concrete operational mental structure. Then we begin to understand that our thoughts and feelings are unique and not necessarily those of others. That means that we learn to put ourselves in someone's shoes. 4. The formal operational stage, age 12 to up. Once we become teenagers, we become formally operational. We now have the ability to think more rational about concepts and hypothetical concepts, such as success and failure, love and hate. We form a deeper understanding of our own identity and our morality. We now also think that we understand why people behave the way they behave, and as a result, can become more compassionate. Our brain can now deductive reasoning, which means we can compare two statements and reach a logical generalization. Our new mental skills allow us to plan our life systematically and prioritize, and we can make assumptions about that have no necessary relation to reality. We can now also philosophize and just think about thinking itself. Thinking itself, argues sense of our identity now also create egocentric thoughts. We start to see an imaginary audience watching them all the time. Mr. Piaget believed in lifelong learning, but insisted that the formal operational stage is the final stage of our cognitive. Sir Jean Piaget's first interests were animals, and he published his first scientific paper on albino sparrow in 1970. When he was just 11 years old, In 1920, he began working with standardized intelligence tests. He realized that younger children consistently make types of mistake that older children do not. He concluded that they might think differently and because of that, he spent the rest of his life studying the intellectual development of children. Based on Mr. Jean Piaget theory, ay nagsasaad na ang pag-isip ng mga bata o ang kanilang thinking capacity ay may mga limitasyon ayon sa kanilang edad.
Okay, good day everyone. So I am Laika Alon and today we will be discussing about Lev Vygotsky. But first, let us know who is Lev Vygotsky. So Lev Vygotsky was a Russian psychologist and a teacher who is considered a pioneer in learning in social context. In the early 20th century, he developed a theory of cognitive development. Vygotsky was the first to examine how our social interactions influence our cognitive growth. And according to him, social culture has a major impact on a child's cognitive development. And his theory also argues that cognitive abilities are socially guided and constructed. Culture serves as a mediator at kung sa Filipino pa, mediator is tagapamagitan for the formation and development of specific such as attention, learning, memory, and problem solving. So he's very convinced na learning occurred or nagaganap kapag tayo ay nakikipag-interact with the other people, socially interact with other people. He believed na through this, our social interaction with others ay nade-develop yung abilities and skills natin. And this actually makes sense, right? Because as we've spent years with the other people, we've learned from that and we've learned from that interaction. And then we had they had big influence on us. Okay, next slide. Okay, the main assertion of this theory is that it is advanced through social interaction with the other people, particularly those who are more skilled. This theory views human development as a socially mediated process. So, social interaction is napakalaking tulong ito for human development. Since children or us acquire cultural values, beliefs, and problem-solving strategies. If nagkakaroon ng social interaction with those who are more skilled and more knowledgeable members of society. Unlike Piaget's theory, Vygotsky proposed that social learning comes before cognitive development in children and that children construct knowledge actively. So for him, or para kay Vygotsky, napakahalaga ng role ng social interaction to the development of cognition. Kasi nga, it affects learning process in an individual and that community and language plays a central part in learning. So Vygotsky theory is comprised of concepts. These are culture-specific tools, language or private speech, and ZPD or zone of proximal development. Culture-specific tools played an integral role in the way children organize and think about the world. Now let us briefly discuss the ZPD or the zone of proximal development. So, zone of proximal development refers to the range of abilities an individual can perform with the guidance of an expert but cannot yet perform on their own. Children who are in the ZPD for a particular task can almost perform the task alone, but not quite there yet. But if a little help from other people, they will be able to perform the task successfully. So there are different stages in ZPD. Number 1 is task a learner cannot accomplish with assistance. Meaning, those cannot or yung mga learners na hindi nagagawa yung task nang walang tumutulong or yung task na may tumutulong sa kanila. So, hindi nila nagagawa yun ng may tumutulong. Number 2 is task a learner can accomplish with assistance. Ito naman yung mga learner na kaya naman gawin yung task but still needs guidance. And number 3, task a learner can accomplish without assistance. Ito naman yung mga learner na kayang gawin yung task independently. So, may mga factors talaga dito sa GPD na yung mga learner ay kailangan pa rin ng help na someone more knowledgeable and has better skills. Okay, now this someone is the more knowledgeable other. So this can offer temporary support or scaffolding to a child during learning process. Okay, next slide. So for Vygotsky's social cultural interactions, it is very important that it helps human development, which is magkaiba sa pinaniniwalaan ni Piaget. Because for Piaget, cognitive development, according to him, stems largely from independent exploration and that children's cognitive development happens in stages. Now, Vygotsky believed that children develop independently of specific stages as the result of social interactions. For Vygotsky, culture, the environment, has a major impact on a child's cognitive development. And for adults, for Vygotsky, one or the important source of cognitive development was adults. And he believed that inside GPD learning, can precede a development. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng matuto ang bata ng higit pa sa kanyang natural maturity. And also, argue that inner speech develops from external speech. Ibig sabihin, thought itself develops as a result of conversation. And according kay Vygotsky, much important learning occur if nagkakaroon tayo ng interaction with other people or other skillful persons or tutors. So, ang nangyayari dito, tutor model behaviors or nagpo-provide sila ng verbal instruction sa child and then ang mangyayari, makikita and maiintindihan ng mga bata eventually. And gagawin niya yun or gagamitin niya yun bilang guide sa task or performance. Okay, next slide. So, Vygotsky had a revolutionary idea about language being the fundamental point of learning. And this point's language is the source of learning for him. Naniniwala din siya na isa rin sa nade-develop when a child socially interact is yung language nila. And ang language for Vygotsky is, this is our greatest tool for communication or to communicate. Thought and language are initially separate systems from the beginning of life, merging at around 3 years of age. So he believed that thought and language have different rooms but converge during the course of development. Now, Vygotsky's approach to a child development is a form of social constructivism that learning occurs through social interaction. Now, in conclusion to this theory of Vygotsky, this is actually centered on that social interaction is critical to cognitive. So, yung theory ni Vygotsky, ang ay napakalaking tulong when we talk about education or when it comes to education. Because his theory helps in achieving a better learning outcomes for students. While hindi lang sa students, but it also enhances the teaching experience of teachers. Thank you.
So, good morning everyone. My name is Royda Akoy. I am the third reporter of Cognitive Information Processing Theory, which is Howard Gardner's theory. So, what is Howard Gardner's theory? So, his theory is multiple intelligences. He proposes that people are not born with all of the intelligence they will ever have. So, from its word, intelligences, diba it means katalinuhan, talino, or can acquire knowledge. According to Gardner, multiple intelligences is hindi daw lahat nabibigyan ng maraming talento. Yung iba may tag-isa, yung iba naman is marami or maraming skills or kakayahan. So, this theory challenged the traditional notion that there is one single type of intelligence, sometimes known as G, for general intelligence, that only focuses on cognitive abilities. So, according to him, there is one single type of intelligences or intelligence, sometimes known as G for general or pangkalahatan, pero nagfo-focus lang siya sa cognitive abilities such as yung mga problem solving, planning, learning from experience, and etc. In other words, more on critical thinking. So, this theory suggests that traditional psychometric views of intelligence are too limited. Gardner first outlined his theory in his 1983 book Frames of Mind, the theory of multiple intelligences, where he suggests that all people have different kind of intelligences. So, as I have said kanina, theory of multiple intelligences, according to Gardner, all people have a different kinds of intelligences. Hindi lahat ng tao, sabi niya, nabibigyan ng katalinuhan or may capability to do something, yung maraming mga abilities, maraming mga kakayahan or maraming kayang gawin. So, Gardner's theory has come under criticism from both psychologists and educators. These critics argue that Gardner's definition of intelligence is too broad, that his 8 different intelligences simply represent talents, personality traits, and abilities. Gardner's theory also suffers from a lack of supporting empirical research. So mamaya i-discuss natin mamaya itong 8 different intelligences of Gardner's theory. So, next is, despite this, the theory of multiple intelligences enjoys considerable popularity with educators. Many teachers utilize multiple intelligences in their teaching philosophies and work to integrate Gardner's theory into the classroom. Learning more about the multiple intelligences. So, ayon sa kanya, multiple intelligences can help you better understand your own strength. So, there are 8 types of intelligences that described by Gardner. Those are the linguistic intelligence. So, what is this linguistic intelligence? This linguistic intelligence is theory that deals with yung mga sensitivity spoken, written languages, or kakayahang matuto ng mga languages at may kakayahan ding gumamit ng languages to accomplish his or her certain goals. Like William Shakespeare, he has the ability to analyze information and gumawa ng mga product through oral and written languages such as sa mga books, speeches, or memos. Number 2 is logical mathematical intelligence. Ayon kay Gardner, heto naman yung theory na nagfo-focus sa pag-aanalisa or pag-analyze ng mga problems logically or more mathematical operations. Kagaya ni kagaya ni Albert Einstein. Einstein. Mayroon siyang ability or kakayahan na gumawa ng mga equation or calculations. And then sa theory na to, may mga careers that you can dominate with your logical mathematical intelligences such as mathematician, accountant, scientist, and many more. Another one, number 3 is spatial intelligence. This theory naman is my kakayahan to recognize and manipulate patterns, just like for example yung mga navigators, mga pilots, mga pilots. And ang trabaho or career naman na madodominate sa spatial intelligence theory is yung mga pilot, surgeon, or architect, and etc. Number 4, intelligence theory is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This theory is those people who can use whole body or yung parts of the body to solve problems, or yung mga fashion products. People bodily kinesthetic like Michael Jordan, which is may ability siya na gamitin ang kanyang katawan to perform skills or solve problems. Potential career choices in bodily kinesthetic intelligences are dancer, athlete, carpenter, and many more. Number 5, intelligence is musical intelligence. This intelligence is yung mga skills like performance, composition, at nakaka-appreciate ng mga patterns or musical patterns, just like Ed Sheeran na may kakayahang mag-recognize at makagawa ng mga pitch, ganon, tapos rhymes or rhythms and tone. And career choices naman na pwede mong i-dominate in this musical intelligence are yung mga singer, composer, DJ, and musician. So another one is number 6, interpersonal intelligence. This intelligence is yung mga tao naman na may kakayahang umunawa ng mga intensyon, motivation, and desires of other people, just like Mother Teresa na kayang maka-recognize at makaintindi of other people's desires, moods, motivations, or ng mga intensyon. Then the career that you can dominate with your interpersonal intelligences is yung mga teacher, just like teacher, psychologist, diba? Yun. So number 7 is the intrapersonal intelligences. This intelligence is yung mga person that can understand oneself or to have an effective working model of oneself, including own desire, fears, and capacity. In other words, yung mga taong may kakayahang tumulong to a person to understand them and how to achieve them. Just like for example, yung mga therapists, psychologists, or yung mga counselors, and etc. And the last one intelligence that gardeners describe is the naturalist intelligence, which is, in this intelligence, it is the person who can recognize his or her environment, just like Charles Darwin. May kakayahang makakilala kung anong uri ng puno, hayop, or weather ang matatagpuan sa isang natural world, like yung mga careers na that you can dominate in this naturalist intelligence is just like botanist, mga biologists, yung mga astronomer, and many more. So that's the end of my report, which is kay Howard Gardner's theory. Thank you.
So good day everyone. I am Charity Sulaik Abdul and this is the continuation of our report. So Daniel Guleman is graduated in psychology from Harvard University and he is also the founder of the Emotional Leadership Styles and the 5 components of emotional intelligence. So, the 5 components of emotional intelligence are self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, and the social skills. So, the first one is the self awareness. So, Daniel Guleman identified self awareness. So, as being made up of emotional awareness, accurate self assessment, and self confidence. In other words, it is all about having your emotions, your personal strength and weaknesses, and having a strong sense of your own worth. So the second one is self-regulation. So self-management or self-regulation can be defined as the ability to manage one's action, thoughts, and feelings in flexible ways to get the desired results. So, in addition, the optimal self-regulation contributes to a sense of well-being, a sense of self-efficacy or confidence, and a sense of connectedness to others. So the next one is motivation. So through being self-motivated, you can inspire members of your team to become motivated. So self-motivation is a key component of emotional intelligence. So the fourth one is empathy. So empathy is basically the ability to understand others' emotion. So, however, notes that at a deeper level, it is about defining, understanding, and reacting to the concerns and needs. So, the last one is social skills. These are the emotional intelligence skills to properly manage one's and others' emotions, to connect, interact, and work with the others. So that was the end of my report. Thank you.